Hello everyone and welcome to Blaugrana Everything and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the team. Like honestly speaking, finally the team just looked like the team that we saw last season. I mean, sure, of course there were a lot of players who were out injured. I mean, you're talking about Lamine Yamal, Gavi, Frankie de Jong, Baude, all of these guys are out and could be out as well against Newcastle United. Keep that in mind. But despite all of that, we finally saw the team playing that free flowing football that we all know that they are very capable of. And of course, we saw the return of one Marc Bernal, and what better way to return than to grab the assist for the sixth goal. And I mean, look, we had everything here. A brace from Fermin Lopez, a brace from Raphinha, a brace from Lewand-Unc-Ski coming off the bench. That's right, some vintage Unkpo there we saw from Lewandowski towards the end. And really, what more could you have asked for? I think going into that match at St. James's Park, this is the kind of intensity that we're hoping Barca are able to bring, because guess what? We know Newcastle United can bring intensity, especially in their home ground, in that venue of theirs. It can get bad and it can get ugly real quickly if you're not careful. Just, talk to them. Ask United, ask City, ask Chelsea, ask Arsenal, ask Liverpool, ask all of these big teams. That's not an easy place to go to. And Barcelona going to be going there, but at least I think this time around we can be confident with the way that Barca will be looking when they're there. So before I go any further, my apologies for the lack of visuals. Don't have the usual visuals, but look, at least there's more energy and at least we have our team back, because looking at the first three matches that Barcelona played this season, I think we could all agree that this team just didn't look like it was up to the level. Very much just riding on the coattails of Pedri's brilliance in midfield, and of course Joan Garcia at the back, especially against Rayo. He really just saved us. And of course the magic here and there from Lamine, from Raphinha, and the good old comeback stuff. But we never really looked like we could dominate a match, and tonight that's exactly what we saw from Barca. They did dominate this one. Of course, didn't manage to score 7 goals like they did last time around at home against Valencia. But I think this was a very good result, especially when you look at, the recent results that we've seen from Valencia. They've not been, a pushover, right? The draw with Real Sociedad, the win against Getafe, and, the narrow loss against Osasuna. They've kind of been playing pretty decently, so they were going to give us a good test tonight. And we did see during the first half in particular that, hey, they were a good test for Barcelona. But, the floodgates eventually opened. 5 goals in the second half in total, spread across basically the entirety of the second half. We like to see that because it means the intensity was there for the whole of the half. And I should say, shout out here to the two wingers who are coming in for their starts this time around, Rashford and Bardaji, Rooney. I mean, they did probably as good as you could ask. Of course, maybe they could have scored here or there. Maybe, Rooney in particular could have, you thought, maybe grabbed a goal in this one. But hey, we still got to see them playing pretty well, fitting in very well into the system. And, it does give some signs of encouragement. So as we go forward, we don't have to be too worried about what we are going to be getting. And I honestly don't know what else I can add here. Okay, I'm glad to see there was some rotation, and of course we know that it's unlikely that the center back pairing against Newcastle United will be Kubarsi and Garcia. You're thinking one of Araujo or Christensen is probably going to come back in to the first team picture here, maybe even both of them, because you want to combat the height that Newcastle has going on set pieces. I mean, with the likes of Dan Burn and so on and so forth. But I will say though that I was disappointed by one player in particular this time around, and that was Ferran Torres. And I mean, of course, I realize that he's not going to be able to score in every match of the season, but it just feels like he's in a place where he's not decided who he is. He's not decided whether he's going to be that serious, badass player who always gives the opponents hell and gives his teammates something, if not a goal then an assist, or if he's going to be, looking clueless or looking lost on a pitch, looking like he doesn't remember which of his 2 feet is the stronger one. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, not to dwell too much on all of that, I think shout out once again, I should say here, to Fermin Lopez, to Raphinha, and to Lewandowski. I mean, coming off the bench for Lewandowski and Raphinha and getting braces, that's not easy. Okay? But of course, with Fermin Lopez as well, this man, he just sees Valencia and he says, you know what, guys? I got this. Because today he just once again scored that brilliant thunderbolt of a shot. And, you know, he could have, just as easily as Raphinha, I guess, in this one, could have had a hat trick. And you just wonder, like, why can Barca players not score these hat tricks? Okay. Score the hat trick. It would be so good for your Ballon d'Or campaign, Mr. Raphinha. I beg of you, score more hat tricks. Anywho, so much to go through, but then again, so little time because this match ended pretty late where I am, so I'll have to curtail my recording, I think, just around here. But please do let me know your thoughts on the match. Let me know what you thought of everything that went down. But aside from all of that, I thank you all for tuning in. To have a great day and Forza Barca.